I'm going to show you how to scan your 4x5 film on an Epson V600 scanner. Long story short, you have to scan both halves and then stitch them in Photoshop, but it's important that you make sure that all the settings are the same when you're scanning. But I'll show you all of that and it'll be quick and easy. First, I want to give a quick shout out to the YouTube channel So Expired. He did a video on how to scan 4x5 film using a custom cutout holder for his V600. I kind of made a couple modifications to it. This is basically that with a little bit more detail and a lot faster. First things first, you have to make a holder for your 4x5 film. If you don't have a way to precision cut a piece of paper, I got you. I have a Cricut cutter. I can literally make exact copies of a 4x5 holder using a thick piece of paper. You can buy one from my Etsy shop in the link in the bio of this video. I promise you, I'm not making money off of this. You're just gonna pay me for the cost of the paper and the cost for shipping and just a little tiny bit of time because it takes like 5 or 10 minutes to cut it out. So here's the holder, and I've actually already got a piece of film on there right now that I just scanned. It's really makeshift. I mean, like, the film is sitting there. It's taped on all 4 corners. That's it. The whole of this holder is just exactly the right size for the actual sheet of film. I'll put a quick diagram in the bio of the exact dimensions of this. The one that I saw on So Expired didn't quite work for me. It was a little bit too big, actually. This is perfect. You just place it in the scanner and shift it side to side. You put it on one side, scan that half, shift it over, scan that half, stitch them in Photoshop. But once you've got your film taped onto the holder like this, you stick it in the scanner just like this, and you put it into one corner. Now I would recommend that you put the film holder on the side where the brightest part of the image is going to get scanned first, because you're going to need to make sure that the settings are correct that properly exposes both halves of the piece of film, which here I'll show you in a second. I'm kneeling on the ground because my cat Prince is the king and sleeps on the chair. I'm not mad about it, actually. First things first, open up Epson Scan. Your your scanner should already be connected to your computer. That's the only way that you're able to open up Epson Scan. Now you want to have it set on color negative film. You know, I scan at 4800 DPI, which isn't important for the preview, but just go ahead and hit preview. Let it bring up something. Okay, now obviously you don't want it in thumbnail version. What you want is this half of the image. So go ahead and select all of that, and I would recommend doing more than what's, what it's showing you as the edge. You can always crop later. Okay, so you get that there. It's giving me a pretty solid auto setting. And okay, sorry, make sure unsharp mask is off before you end up scanning. Pick your settings. I make sure the entire spectrum is there. Now here's the important part for compositing images, which means combining in Photoshop. Both of your scans have to have the exact same setting, otherwise you're gonna end up spending a ton of time color correcting each half to be exactly alike. You can just do that in your scanning. Okay, so what I usually do is I'll bring up a notepad. Here it is. Let me make this a whole lot smaller. Okay, so I will write down, oh my God, all of the settings when this looks pretty decent. And I only mess with these 4 things here, nothing else. That's what, that way you don't have too much to worry about. Okay, so I see 117, 1.03, 212. I'll write that down. 117, 1.03, 212. And I'll leave a gap, go to the red part, make sure everything looks good. And so again, like if you adjust something in these parts, like if I move this over here, because I mean, obviously you wouldn't do that for this image, but if I did, you want to make sure you have the right number. So do that and then write it down. So I'll just do that again and speed this up. So you get the idea. You want these numbers. So after you scan, you will shift the negative over in its holder on the scanner and then put in the exact same settings on this for the second half so that you're getting the exact same color balance and exposure of both halves of the film. And here's what it looks like to scan the other half and put in the settings. Just real quick, I'll speed it up so that you can just see what it looks like. Okay, so you've got all the same settings in. It's gonna have the same color balance and the same exposure as the first half. Scan it, and then let's take it into Photoshop to composite it. Okay, so you've scanned your 2 halves. Now here in my case, I've got scan 10, scan 11. These are the same image. Let's open up Photoshop and let's photo merge them. All right, you've got Photoshop open. Go into File, Automate, and here Photo Merge. Click on that. Now you're gonna select the files you want, and in this case, it's scan 10 and scan 11. Go ahead and hit OK. You see those there. They're both TIFF files. They've got a lot of color information and exposure information. And make sure you've got blend images together selected. Everything else you can keep unselected. Hit OK. It's gonna take about a minute maybe to do this, so I'm just gonna skip that part. Okay, in this case, really interesting, it did not feel the need to blend them, it just aligned them, which means that the image is simple enough where it doesn't need complicated blending. When you have an image of, say, like a group of people on your large format film, it will tend to stitch around those people or into areas where it's not like blending in their face. So yeah, here you see they're blended together. You can rotate the image 90 degrees clockwise. That's going to take a second because this is going to be a huge file, but you've got it there. Now again, these borders, crop it later. You can crop it now, it's not going to hurt you, but I mean, just edit and crop it later. So now we save it as a TIFF. It's now a full 4x5 image file. If you're wondering why it's diagonal here, it's because I taped it diagonally into the film holder. Totally user error, my fault. But I'll go ahead and file, save as a TIFF, make it number 7. That's just for me. Discard the layers, hit OK. That's it. It's pretty simple. Again, you just have to make sure your scan settings are correct on both halves so that it's easier to composite later and no weird color correction on the separate halves. Photoshop will know what to do. And again, if you want this precision cut piece of paper, just go buy it on my Etsy shop. Again, I'm not really trying to make money off of it. I'm just trying to make your life a little bit easier, and I will try my best to make sure that the post office doesn't bend it on its way over to you. But I hope that's helpful. Good luck scanning your 4x5 sheets, and I'll see you in the next video.